Welcome to this episode of Kennedy Saves the World. I guess it's intervention week. So I like to anoint myself your nosy neighbor who loves giving you unsolicited advice. It's one of my favorite things in the world. And you ever do that? You ever just find someone in your life and they don't ask you how they should improve their life and you just go ahead and give them tips anyways? I did that to Sean Spicer once. And to my credit, I was right. It was when he was former President Trump's spokesperson for a little short, tiny while. And I was like, man, you got to get in with the president more and hear what he has to say. And you really have to get that information firsthand. He didn't ask me for my advice. I don't know if he ever made good on it, but I really feel like I was right about that. I thought Spicy did a bang up job. That's neither here nor there. He's not married to Kanye West, but Bianca Censori is. And this couple is crazy. I want her to do this, by the way, that and that. If you ever see someone do that, that means I'm being held against my will. Help me call the police. Get me out of this situation. I didn't know that either. And so it turns out if you've been drinking with your friends, that seems like a really funny thing to do at a crowded bar, but don't do it because someone will call the police and someone's going to get in trouble and it'll probably be you because you will be the one who was screwing around doing this, and a nice empathetic bartender, the only sober person in the joint, might see it, and then all of a sudden you're in the back of a squad car getting the kind of stop and frisk that you don't pay an extra $20 for, if you know what I'm saying. So the point is, if we're talking about prostitution, she is a bit of an attention whore, and I get it. And anyone who is with Kanye West, whether it's Julia Fox or Kim Kardashian or Amber Rose, like, they all know what they're getting into. I mean, they know that he is nuttier than a sack of squirrel turds. Everyone knows it. He knows it. He's talked about it. He's talked about getting off of his medication. Kim Kardashian, when she was married to him, she was very worried about his mental health. She also sort of tipped her hand in 2018 when she was doing an interview, and she said that starting, I think in 2000 or 2002, before she was with Kanye, he used to email her all the time and tell her what to wear, and he would tell her that she had horrible fashion sense, which is something that a really manipulative person does. And one of my favorite books that I read in the aughts was Neil Strauss's The Game, because I found it to be fascinating, because it wasn't just about the art of being a pickup artist. It was about things like neuro-linguistic programming and the whole thing, how people try and control others with their language and various manipulation tactics. It's fascinating to me because there are people who, they spend their lives doing that, and they spend their lives surrounding themselves with people who will be supplicants, people who will be controlled, because maybe in the beginning it seemed sort of kinky and exciting and fun. And I'm sure that's what happened with Bianca Censori. Apparently, Kanye found her on Instagram. She was an architectural student in Melbourne, Australia, and he asked her to quit her studies and come be the chief architect at Yeezy, whatever that means. And she did. And at the time, from what I've gathered, Kim Kardashian was not a huge fan of this woman. She seemed like a little bit of a leg humper, and maybe more, seeing as though they got married just weeks after Kim and Kanye finally had their marriage officially dissolved. And so I say married because they got married in one part of California, in Southern California, but never filed the legal paperwork, so they thought. But it turns out they filed an anonymous document in Palo Alto. So they were, in fact, married. So that really is his wife. So she ended up marrying him. And so they've been traipsing around the world, and she's basically a walking yeast infection. She's wearing pantyhose. Like, she's wearing these super odd see-through pantyhose bodysuits, which, ew. I mean, how do you not sweat and just stank nasty in that thing all day long? And then apparently when they were in Venice, Italy, a Catholic country, he had his pants down. He had his ass hanging out. She had her hands on his knees. And you can only assume what sort of oral marital act she might have been performing on him. Everyone loves kissing in Venice, but that may be a bridge too far. The bridge of sighs, perhaps. So that might be influence. Who cares? The point is, I am one of those people who feel like she needs an intervention. I feel like Bianca needs to find the right person and do this to them, because I now no longer think that she's just this nutty performance artist who, combine that with a taste of this pseudo stardom and, someone who dabbles in attention whoredom. I think it's beyond that. If you listen to these women talk about their former relationships with him, he is a very, very manipulative person and an anti-Semite on top of that, which at one point that may have been very problematic for him, because he had his contracts voided with, everyone from the Gap and Adidas to Balenciaga. But now, with this new virulent strain of anti-Semitism that is taking over academia and progressive culture, he probably could be the president of Harvard at this point. So she goes around in these see-through sheer outfits, and which is weird because he apparently, according to her friends in Australia, he tells her what to wear, he tells her what to eat, he tells her not to speak in public, and all of her friends are like, "What are you going at, mate? She can't shut her mouth." That's my Australian. You are welcome. So she went back to Australia for like a couple days, and her friends are like, "We gotta have an intervention. That's not a knife. That's a wife." That's what they said about her. They thought that she kind of allowed her to extricate herself from the relationship. But then all of a sudden, she's back in Dubai. She's back at Art Basel. You can see her cooter in these super short dresses. There's like full weird nip display, and it's not like, these are my breasts and they're natural and they're for the baby. He makes her hide them with things like crossbody bags and throw pillows and now stuffed animals. So it's almost like he's making her be a furry now, because for a while they were both walking around either in socks or bare feet. Ew. And now she's wearing like these giant fur hats, and she's got like stuffed animals in front of her boobs. So he's definitely in the throes of his mental illness. And that part is sad, because he is a father. And, you never want to see a parent have a public downward spiral, but it's not even, he's fallen so far. He's like completely plateaued at this point. And it's nothing but crazy in terms of visuals all day long. But we're talking about him, and if that's what they want, I guess it's working. But if it's not working for her, I know he's a rich guy. I know he's very protective and very, very controlling. But man, if there is a way for her to get out of this relationship, I truly hope and pray that she finds a way, because that's some scary, scary business when you feel like there's nowhere you can run, because the person who's controlling you will make your life a living hell, because, without him, you do not have the means to fight whatever protracted legal or media battle an unstable controlling person might throw at you. So it is a little bit wild. Bianca, if your friends want to have an intervention, let them do this. Okay? Furry hat, it's not you. Being quiet in public, that's not real. I don't know about the rest of it. I don't want to speculate at this point, but I will say something is rotten in the state of Ye Mark, and someone's got to help Bianca at this point. Help her out. This has been Kennedy Saves the World. I'm Kennedy.
Listen ad-free with a Fox News Podcast Plus subscription on Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Prime members can listen to this show ad-free on the Amazon Music app.
Oh, go ahead and leave me a review while you're there. I'd love to hear what you have to say. You've been listening to Kennedy Saves the World on the Fox News Podcast Network.